Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube or Sooners podcast powered by Riverwind Casino. My name is Brandon Drum. I'm here with Parker Thune, and this is the weekend version of the bye week podcast. We're here to talk to you about a huge day that was Thursday. We're recording this on a Friday of this week when Oklahoma landed two top rivals 100 commits. You got Cooper Hackett out of Fort Gibson, the 5-star offensive tackle. You have a 4-star top 100 offensive tackle, offensive lineman. Caden Penny out of Bigsby committing to Oklahoma as well in the 27 class. Huge week in the recruiting ranks. We're going to talk about our time, post-practice stuff with Brent Venables, a couple of the team members as well, the players that we got to speak with. And we are going to talk about some weekend football because this is probably the biggest weekend cumulatively, Parker, of the college football season when it comes to top 10 matchups, top 15 matchups. I don't know it can get any bigger, man.
I'm excited to watch it from home.
Amen. A to the men. Love it. But before we do all that, Parker, we have to thank some of our sponsors.
Yes, indeed, folks. Riverwind Casino is our presenting sponsor here on the Under the Visor podcast. You know where it's at, right off I-35 and Highway 9, and it has been OKC's premier gaming destination for almost 2 decades now. Nearly 3,000 electronic games, table games, bars and dining options, plus the best live music in the metro. It's no surprise that Riverwind is always a good time. Also, a shout to Jana King, the greatest team to ever clean and a proud partner of OU Athletics, delivering spotless results from stadiums to any size business across the country. Check out which of their solutions is best for you or your business by going to janaking.com. That's JANIKING.com. And finally, folks, fall is here. Crisp air, football, maybe a bonfire or two, but if you're like most guys, you're still putting in hard work. And yes, that means sweat. Don't let body odor sideline you. Mando deodorant plus sweat control is for real working guys, formulated to stop odor before it starts, and it doesn't mask odor with overwhelming fragrance. So you can tackle anything from the job site to tailgating with confidence. Don't mask it, Mando it. Mando deodorant is re-engineered to stop odor before it starts. It doesn't just mask odor, it prevents it. 100% of study participants experienced all-day odor protection. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with that solid stick deodorant, the cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like the mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. So use code INSIDER at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. Again, shopmando.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you.
All right. Man, John Mateer's surgery is probably where we need to start. Brent Venables, and then we'll talk about the 5-star commits. Or do we want to do it the other way around? Which is the bigger news? They're both big news. I think the John Mateer surgery is probably the biggest news, right?
Take your pick, man.
Let's just talk about
wheel.
Yeah, no kidding. It is never boring covering the University of Oklahoma. Bye weeks are not bye weeks. And you know, the funny thing is we haven't even touched on the 4-year schedule thing at all. Like at all, which has been a big topic of discussion for a lot of people as well. It is never boring covering Oklahoma, Parker. Never boring covering Oklahoma. When you think it's going to be a relaxing week, they have you fooled. You got to feel sorry for Mike Hawk as well, because that poor guy and his communications team, they were probably thinking the same. As a matter of fact, I know they were. For a fact, every bye week, I always ask them if they're ready. They're like, yes. And then hell broke loose.
Always delivers. Always. Yeah. There's always news.
There is always news. All right. Let's talk about the surgery. First off, Attorney General Drummond, no relation. OMND, but I will say this. I use the last name Drummond on 2K just so they say it, because they don't say drum whenever I play. I'm my creative player, my guy that I create. When you have to do my career, you don't know what I'm talking about.
Brandon Drummond.
That's exactly what it is. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. So they'll just say the name. Anyways, instead of that choosy that cheesy MP for my player. It's really cheesy how they do it, but the nickname. But um, that's neither here nor there. Attorney General Drummond even gave a commendation to Dr. Stephen Shin for his expedient surgical maneuvers that he did with John Mateer's hands. That is top. That's where it means more, and you're in the SEC, Parker. That is an SEC move, 100%.
Shinsanity has been like the thing on college football Twitter this week, hasn't it?
Ooh, I like that.
Like has
Shinsanity.
has anything touched Shinsanity?
No, he has to be the most popular, just orthopedic of all time, right? I don't know who could be more popular than him. And it's amazing. He's done like all stars, like Jalen Williams, Steph Curry, Drew Brees, right? Jared Goff. And yet, John Mateer has made this man famous. Famous. Just because college football is college football and it's psychotic. And that's why we love it. But post surgery, we were supposed to have a chance to talk to John Mateer. He did not want to talk, which totally understand.
Get it?
Yeah, he's 24 hours removed from being cut on. He's probably a little drugged up as it is. You never really want to say too much, and you probably can and probably would on those medications. But on top of that, yeah, you're just not feeling it after surgery. However, knowing what we know, the people that we've talked to, are you feeling any more confident about Texas and the possibility of Texas?
I'm feeling slightly more confident. Yes.
Same.
Slightly more confident.
There is a piece over on OU Insider. If you're not on OU Insider VIP, you're missing out. Go sign up with us. It's awesome. OUinsider.com. If you're a college student, send us an email from your .edu. If you're a teacher, send us an email from your teacher's account. If you're a active duty military, send your email to ouinsider@rivals.com. We'll give you it for $1 a month for 3 months. But we have a little piece over there talking about the post-surgical intel that we have. And let's just say it's riveting and pretty in depth on what to expect and what sources are starting to expect when it comes to his healing. Now, nothing's a guarantee. I want to throw that caveat out there, but we're starting to get a clear picture, Parker, of where this thing's headed for sure. I wholeheartedly believe South Carolina will happen at this rate.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would be very surprised if he's not back for the South Carolina game.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Having said that, I thought Brent Venables was very complimentary of Michael Hawkins during the presser yesterday. You can tell, and I asked this, some people had an issue. I said, why are you so confident in this team? What makes you so confident in this team? Can you expound on that? Because we've heard him talk about this team this year, right? Like, he even brought up the word confidence a couple of times yesterday. And the way he talks about this team, Parker, is different to me. Very different. Even different, more different than 2023 when they won 10 games. It feels like he has a strong gut feeling about where this thing's headed with this team. And granted, he even came out and said, I think we can win every game. I'm confident we can win every game, but he also said we could lose every game. I had a source repeat the same thing to me yesterday. There is a confidence, and essentially why they chose to do this surgery was because of the confidence in this team. If they thought they were an 8-4 team, they probably would have let John Mateer just play it out. If they thought their ceiling was 9-3, they probably would have let John Mateer just play it out. However, I'm going to quote the source yesterday. If the goal is truly the playoffs, and that's the goal right now, is the playoffs, then you make sure that John Mateer is 100% healthy and that there's zero chance that he can get dinged up and hurt at worse and be out for multiple months. And that's not a knock on Michael Hawkins at all. They believe Michael Hawkins can go in and win them ball games. But John Mateer's a leading Heisman candidate for a reason, Parker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's your overall thoughts on all that?
My overall thought is that subtracting John Mateer from the equation, in my mind, doesn't change a lot about the overall outlook of this season. And I've said that. Like, if John Mateer misses 2 games, one of which is Kent State, okay. Like, do you really feel that at the end of the season?
No.
It depends on a lot of factors between now and then, but I would argue on the large scale, the answer is no. And obviously, you've got one of the more capable and one of the more qualified backup quarterbacks in the country, and Michael Hawkins, ready to step in and take the reins. And so,
Yep.
yeah, I agree with that assessment completely. If Oklahoma didn't believe in this team, obviously they believe in John Mateer, but if they didn't believe in the team, if they didn't believe in the roster, if this staff didn't believe that they have a college football playoff caliber roster, then yeah, they probably would have just had John Mateer play through the pain because heck, he did it against Auburn
Yep.
and was dang effective. Completed 16 of his last 17 passes. So to me, what this suggests, what this screams from the Oklahoma side is we have a team that can elevate us to victory against Texas with or without John Mateer.
Yep.
And we're going to have you get the surgery because you, at your best, give us an opportunity to compete for a championship. You are part of what potentially puts this team over the top, right? So we would rather have 100% of John Mateer and see where that could take us in the long run versus having 80% of John Mateer and maybe have a slightly better chance of beating Texas with the knowledge that you will play that game versus you might play that game. So, yeah, I think the willingness on Oklahoma's end to just go ahead and plow ahead with the surgery for Mateer suggests that, in stark contrast to so many seasons in the past, it doesn't feel like the fate of this Oklahoma football team rests solely in the hands of the quarterback.
Totally agree. This defense is nasty. And I think that in itself is where the confidence comes when you know you don't have to go throw up 50 points a game. And I again, the source told me that yesterday too. If this was a case of you needed 50 points to win or 40 points to win every game, you would just keep playing John Mateer and say, go win it for us, brother, until you can't win it anymore. Get us as far as you can get us.
Exactly.
But there's wholehearted belief in Michael Hawkins. And that's the reality of it. And even past Michael Hawkins, you have Parker, you have 3 quarterbacks with experience at the Division I level.
Yeah.
It's starter experience nonetheless. And so I don't expect them to hold Michael Hawkins back. I expect them to let him be who he is, because you have Whit Neubauer sitting in the ring. Now, Whit Neubauer goes in there. They're not going to let him be who he is. They're going to sit back there and be like, brother, if a fly touches you, you come tell us. Like, we can't, because you're down to Jet New at that point.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully there's no world in which you're dealing with that level of attrition.
Oh, you gotta hope not.
Brent
Venables has seen worse. That's why you just never know. And
I mean,
the worst luck.
The other aspect of this is knowing how large the Texas game looms every single year and how much that can set the direction, change the course of the season.
Yeah.
especially given that it comes right around the halfway point every single year. Oklahoma's willingness to just have Mateer get the surgery also suggests to me that they sincerely believe Michael Hawkins can go beat Texas.
I agree.
That's much more specific, much less big picture, but I feel there's a genuine belief there. They feel like Michael Hawkins, as the starting quarterback, if called upon to play that game for the second straight year, can go beat Texas.
He will be the one quarterback in that. As a matter of fact, there's a stat out there, I believe, that first year starters have like an absurdly bad record in OU Texas. You've seen that before, right? Like if it's your first year and you're playing against somebody that's already played in the game, the person that's played in the game generally wins. Have you seen that stat? It's something absurd. Yeah, I'd have to look it up.
I have not seen the stat, but I mean, here's the question. Would you rather have Michael Hawkins or Arch Manning as your starting quarterback in the Red River Shootout? There
The
might not
fact,
be a solely conclusive answer. There might not be an answer that everybody agrees on, but that's kind of my point, right? Like that's a debate. That's a conversation worth having.
I'm looking it up right now. Yes, it is a question to be had because he hasn't, he being Arch Manning has not played very well this year.
No, he hasn't. And like obviously, I think it's a much different conversation preseason. You know, if you're just like take Oklahoma fans and Texas fans out of the picture. If you're asking the rest of the college football world in August, who would you rather have as your starting quarterback in the Red River Showdown? Arch Manning or Michael Hawkins? The overwhelming majority is probably going to say Arch Manning,
Yeah.
if for no other reason than the fact that the media machine has conditioned them to believe that Arch Manning is the next big thing, right? But after having watched Arch Manning start the first 4 games of Texas's season here in late September, the national sentiment on Arch is very different. And maybe the thought on Michael Hawkins hasn't changed much, but let's see what he does against Kent State and how that alters his perception amongst the rest of the college football landscape.
So that's a I want to bring that up. We talked about it to kind of graze past it on the live um, on Wednesday night, but and even in the emergency podcast, it was only like 20 minutes long. We were talking about the injury, but let's say Michael Hawkins goes out and he just kills it, right? Throws for 300 yards, runs for 80, runs for a touchdown, and throws for 3 touchdowns or something to that extent. Granted, it's Kent State, whatever. Nationally, does that give the perception a little bit more? Does that take away from what people remember from last year when he didn't have an offensive line, when he didn't have wide receivers? Kind of like with Jackson Arnold, everybody looks at Jackson Arnold completely different because of what he did. He's done at Auburn so far, right? With his supporting cast there. Um, does Oklahoma stay in the top 10? Do they move up? Do they move back closer to 10? Like what's your gut feel knowing there's so much attrition that could possibly happen this weekend as far as wins losses with the top
Yeah.
15 programs?
I think it's just, I mean, we have to see what happens this weekend before we answer that question. You know, like with where Oklahoma's at right now, going into a bye, with the knowledge that their backup quarterback is going to start at least one game on the other side of the bye, there's a lot of potential for volatility there. So,
Yeah.
shoot, you would think they probably can't move any higher by virtue of not playing. There's a definite chance they could move down by virtue of A, not playing, and B, also projecting ahead to potentially play in the Texas game without their starting quarterback. In the minds of the pollsters, I don't know if I'm trying to occupy the brain space of an AP voter from another beat, another region of the country that is just kind of using the national storylines to follow the rest of the college football world outside their beat, outside the team that they're assigned to. I probably don't look at Oklahoma the same way today as I did on Sunday, last time I had to vote, before I knew that John Mateer was going to undergo thumb surgery.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I always find that stuff intriguing. But one, it doesn't matter in week 5. I mean, it's all going to work itself out by the time the season rolls around, and the playoff committee hasn't met either. But it's good fodder. It's good talking points, and so I always like to ask those questions. Um, how confident are you in Oklahoma being 10-2 at this point? I know you were confident in 9-3. That was your prediction. My prediction was 10-2. Are you coming around to my 10-2 yet?
No,
All right. Well,
no, not yet. Ask me again if they get through
Texas.
Texas with or without John Mateer and sit at 6-0. Then the conversation becomes a little bit different. I haven't seen anything thus far, and like what if we're talking results or whether we're talking eye test. I haven't seen anything thus far that doesn't jive with what my preseason expectations were for this team.
Yeah.
So I have no reason to budge on what I saw them as preseason, which is at minimum an 8-4 team, more likely 9-3 with the potential for 10-2. 10-2 certainly on the table, but get through the Texas game before we start having that conversation. I expected this team to start 5-0. They're going to start 5-0.
Yeah.
After that, man, all bets are off.
So, but I guess my point is I think if you predicted 10-2, you probably feel pretty good about that because of 5-0 start as well. I mean, 12 games in or 5 games in, right? That you should feel confident about where things are headed. Speaking of confident where things are headed, Parker, how about that segue?
Very nice.
Thank you. Recruiting.
Recruiting.
You should feel confident if you're an Oklahoma fan where things are headed, particularly in the 2027 class. And don't sleep on 26. Let me just, Parker and I tell you that. Do not sleep on 26 because the days of yesteryear when the college coaches, opposing college coaches, can go out and badmouth Brent Venables, they done. They're over. Them days are gone, Parker. Skittle. I don't know what the rest of the phrase was, but
I don't either.
I used to when I was, yeah. Anyways, I'm digressing. The point is, 5-star Fort Gibson offensive tackle Cooper Hackett. Fort Gibson being the home of the great Teddy Lehman, by the way, flipped from Texas Tech. And not only did he flip, homie took a substantial amount less to do it. That is public knowledge, people.
Mm-hmm.
It is no secret that Cody Campbell and company were ready to roll out the Rolls Royces. Not literally the Rolls Royces, but that type of money.
It might actually have been a literal Rolls Royce. Who knows?
That's fair. That's fair. And on top of Cooper Hackett, not only that, what is Caden Penny's overall ranking, by the way? Do you have it off the top of your head?
Number 34 in the country.
Dude is essentially a 5-star. Like, if you're at the end of the year, there is a argument to be made if you wanted to create, and sometimes they do it, sometimes they go up to 35 5-stars. He's that good. Oklahoma essentially landed 2 guys that are probably going to end up being 5-stars when it's all said and done. And both from the state of Oklahoma in Bigsby, 2027 offensive lineman Caden Penny, 2027 5-star offensive lineman Cooper Hackett out of Fort Gibson, all in one morning, Parker. Just boom. And it was Wednesday night. that I happened to see it, just a little tweet by Jim Nagy, and went, let me reach out to some people and see if there's just validity, or is this Jim Nagy just being, you know, loving his Sooners? He loves his Sooners so much that he pulled off 2 5 stars. Not bad.
Well, 1 5 star.
One five
One
star.
almost 5 star.
Yeah, potential. One almost 5 star. Yeah. Sorry. But what a day. And what momentum is that starting to have, Parker, for Oklahoma on the recruiting trail? We're starting to hear it already.
Genuinely, Brandon, I
Yeah.
don't think this is hyperbolic. In the, what, 6, no, 7? Yeah, going on 7 full seasons I've been on the beat. I think this is the biggest day for Oklahoma recruiting that I can recall. Because there have been some very significant singular commitments on a given day in the past. Peyton Bowen in December of 2022. Caleb Williams in July of 2020. Jackson Arnold, if you want to go back to January of 2022, and that really got the ball rolling on what was, on paper at the time, a pretty dang solid 2023 class for Oklahoma. But 2 commitments from national top 50 players in the same day. We have not seen that in recent memory for the University of Oklahoma. Nor have we seen those 2 commitments come from in-state players. And we have certainly not seen those commitments come from in-state offensive linemen. How often, Brandon, how often do you have nationally elite offensive linemen in your own backyard at the University of Oklahoma? The last national top 100 prospect that the state produced on the offensive line prior to Caden Penny and Cooper Hackett was Bray Walker in the class of 2018. That's almost a decade ago.
That's crazy.
And now, not only do you have 2 of them in the same class, but they are both now committed to the University of Oklahoma. They commit within minutes of each other, mind you, but they are committed over a year before signing day. And what this enables you to do is build what could be a potentially ridiculous nucleus from within state lines in the 27 cycle. Because look at some of the other guys Oklahoma's pushing for.
Exactly.
Samaj Stanford, Case Alexander, Ben Kolar, Gabe Osborne at Mustang. The list goes on.
Yeah. Can we talk about Osborne real quick? Like
Sure.
he will be, I mean, one, I think in due time, OU fans, he will be a Sooner. Um, Not only that, think about everything that he is. If he did not have an OU offer and all those other big offers at the football ranks, right? I talked to his basketball coach, and I kid you not, he said, Brandon, if he didn't have OU and all those other big time FBS offers on the football field, he would have K-State, Wichita State, Tulsa, SMU, and a bunch of other basketball offers. He's that athletic. So you combine his athleticism with what we know that Charles Powers likes to look at, right? We know he likes dual sport guys. He needs to be ranked in at least a 4-star or above. And he's having, let me tell you, he's having an insane junior season. Insane. I think he had 3 touchdowns against Westmore at least. He had 2 versus UConn. He's 5 in already, and they have been absolute bombs, mind you, and or him just breaking loose and making people look stupid. And nobody throws to his side because they're scared to death to do so. He's that good. So as you were saying, go ahead and finish up what you're talking about, the rest of the OK Preps class, because that class is just, it's Oklahoma's what, offered 11?
11. Yeah. And that may not be all that they get around to offering. And I didn't have anything left to say on that point. I think I had pretty much brought the point to its conclusion, which is, obviously this sets the table for what could be a phenomenal class across the board, and Oklahoma
Yeah.
is going to have a strong presence on the West Coast more so in the 2027 class, as you see with the addition of Damari DeJean, who's one of their current commits from the Los Angeles area in the 27 class. So you may see a little bit more of that Pacific Coast representation in the 27 class. But
Mhm.
if you're just talking about the local nucleus, the guys from your own backyard, Oklahoma, especially with Hackett and Penny on board this early, have a chance to really clean up within state
Yes.
lines. The Sooners have a chance to really, really make this class a memorable one when it comes to keeping homegrown talent home.
And recruiting is becoming a very big deal again. I hope people understand that. The days of just relying on the transfer portal and kids leaving, that changed a few weeks ago when they went to that one transfer window. You are not going to see mass exoduses anymore. I mean, you may still see them at times, but it's not even going to be close, Parker, to what it used to be. Like what we're about to see is a closer version to the college football that we knew prior to 2023. You agree with that?
I don't know, man. Like, I still
You still
think there's
think
going to
there's
be a
going to be a
lot of
bunch?
transfer movement.
Really?
I still think there's going to be a lot of transfer movement. Maybe not quite as much, but I still think there's going to be quite a bit of it. What will happen is, and this has already started to happen, this isn't a new trend, but there are plenty of guys that get in the portal and they already know where they're going, right? I think it's just going to be a lot of that come
Hmm.
this window in January, where within the first 2 or 3 days of the portal window opening, there will be a ton of dudes that not only have hit the portal, but they've already landed somewhere because
Yeah.
agents will work behind the scenes to secure landing spots for their guys long before the portal window opens.
Okay. So let me kind of walk you through what I was meaning by that. I understand that there's going to be portal and there's going to be mass exoduses of some teams. I'm talking specifically Oklahoma. I think the days of Oklahoma having to worry about 20 guys hitting the portal, I don't know that those days are going to be
Well,
happening anymore. And it
you
has a
know,
lot to do with culture and finally things are being more stable, the profit sharing, all that type of stuff, the way that they've kind of
well,
go ahead.
I guess the way I'm looking at it though is is 20 guys hitting the portal something that Oklahoma has ever had to quote unquote worry about because the
Well,
majority of
yeah,
their
in
transfers.
22 and 23 they did. Yeah.
Well, okay, but like the majority of those transfers at the end of those respective seasons were guys that Oklahoma gave the gentle push out the door, right? So
That's
that's
fair.
that's always what it's been. It's more so Oklahoma asking guys to move on than it is Oklahoma losing guys that they would have preferred to keep around. And that's not without exception. I mean, you rewind to the end of the 2023 season. Boy, would they have loved to keep Caden Green around, and boy, would they have loved to keep Dalen Smothers around. Those two guys decided to leave. That
Yep.
happens. But the majority of the attrition in the portal consists of guys that have kind of run their course as Oklahoma football players.
That's fair.
And that the staff and program has decided, you know what, we probably need to go in a different direction. I think there could be a similar level of turnover after this season because you have a new brain trust, new front office, right? Jim Nagy is the new personnel czar, and he's going to have opinions on some of the guys on this roster. He may want to move on. There may be certain dudes that don't fit his vision for the
Mhm.
roster construction at Oklahoma. And I think there's still going to be plenty of processing that happens at the end of the year. I'm not going to name names, obviously, but there are certain guys on this roster that I think Jim Nagy and Oklahoma will be inclined to move on from.
That's fair. And I don't think you really have to name names. I think you can look at the first 4 weeks of the season and kind of get a pretty good idea. And let's just put it to you like this to the fans that are kind of racking their brain there. Think sophomore and above, and if they haven't really touched the field, or you don't feel like there's any point in their career they're going to touch the field, you're probably on the right track of the old processing. Um, this 25 class, again, I'll say it, I've said it a bunch. OU feels like they hit a home run with every one of them, at least the vast majority of them, 90% of them. They think they hit a home run with that 25 class. And they're not playing a lot of times right now. And I asked a question to one of the sources, like, how do you know that if you haven't played? He goes, all you have to do is watch practice. If they're challenging the guys that are playing, but they're not just, we don't feel like they're ready quite yet for the bright lights. We're going to get them ready, they said. But when they are ready, he said, watch out. That class is going to be one of those classes like 2022 where you look back and you're like, hit, 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 hit all the way down. And it's just almost a perfect evaluation of what they did in that class. And honestly, I think this 26 class, as much as people want to look at it and go, oh, well, what about this? What about that? I think the way OU is going to be operating moving forward, prime example, look at Matthew Nelson. Nobody was jumping through hoops whenever he first committed to Oklahoma, and or even the offer went out like, we're going up against who? Arkansas State. We're going up against who? Memphis, right? Like teams like that. Parker, that dude might end up being a top 150 kid in the country when it's all said and done.
That might be a little optimistic, but he's a
I
four-star.
He's a four-star. He'll be a top 300 kid for sure. And I mean, he's already right there. That was a great eval.
It looks like a great eval. We'll find out if it was a great eval when he gets to campus.
Oh my gosh. You're being too technical. You know what I'm talking about as far as the rankings. And of course, we'll find out when he gets to campus. I'm talking about the fact that he was a nobody in the recruiting ranks and now is considered. Georgia and all these other big schools are trying to get in on him. I think Alabama's offered him as well.
Alabama did offer him, yeah. So, I mean, objectively, if that's the way you're looking at it, Jim Nagy and company were ahead of the curve.
They were way ahead of the curve.
Way ahead of the curve. Yep.
They saw it. I was talking to somebody last night about him, actually, and they said that will be one of their best evals of the 26 class when it's all said and done. They're very confident about it. So, big picture, this 27 class, OK Preps notwithstanding, okay? We understand OU is going to clean up in state. How does that play off and roll over into the national recruiting? Can you see Oklahoma landing any more 5 stars? Do you still feel confident in a Jalen Brewster, maybe not flipping to Oklahoma, but not signing with Texas Tech at the end of the day?
If you ask me whether Cooper Hackett is the only 5-star that winds up in Oklahoma's 2027 class, I would say no.
Agreed.
I think they get another one, at least another one. And man, some of the early momentum that Oklahoma has gained with some blue chip targets in the 27 class, it makes you wonder, man, if they keep this thing rolling. Let's say you plow through Texas 6-0. Let's say you make the college football playoff. You're able to navigate the back half of that schedule and lock down a playoff berth. Man, I think this class by the end of the calendar year could have 8-10 guys in it that are all blue chippers or in that vicinity.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of steam right now for Oklahoma in the 27 cycle. And that what will help, I don't know when it'll happen, but what will help substantially is locking the quarterback in, whoever that may be.
Mm-hmm. Everybody always asks me about Elijah Haven. I keep getting asked about him. I'm like, they're not going after Elijah Haven, guys. Like, if that was what you were gonna do, you needed to get in on him way earlier. But I do want to say this, like, as far as the Peyton Houston thing goes, dang man, you look at Caden Penny, right? Um, you look at Cooper Hackett. Oh my gosh, obviously Luke Wilson, and then oh my gosh, who's the other one?
Damari DeJean.
Damari DeJean. I always forget about Damari, even though OU's going to see Damari today, actually. Um, but if that would have happened, this class would have just, I mean, I think you would have been looking at more than just Caden Penny and Cooper Hackett by now and Damari DeJean. That was a very unfortunate thing. And unfortunate because he was OU's. LSU didn't want to wait on Elijah Haven. They got stuffed in a locker far too many times. And that's where that all went down and why that took place with the in-state quarterback. So it is what it is at the end of the day. But as Parker said, like, there's a very, very good chance that this class ends up with, it's one of those special classes that you go back and you look and you're like, not only did that help Oklahoma continue to, raise the bar of who they are as a program on and off the field just by the optics, it's going to be one of those classes that might not just, it might be one of those classes that helps you win a natty. And I'm going to quote a source from last night. They literally said to me, Drum, we're trying to win a national title. We got a good chance to do that this year. We're trying to, and I'm going to quote him, three-peat like we're the Bulls and the Lakers of the 90s and 2000s. That's what they said they're trying to do. Of course, I pushed back about the Oklahoma State Thunder and how they're going to three-peat and that this is Oklahoma State Thunder territory. But the fact of the matter remains, the way Oklahoma's building their roster, the way the defense is progressing, the way that you expect the defensive line to be, not just this year, you see what it is, but they're young, Parker. David Stone and Jaden Jackson have extra years, right? Taylor Wine is a first-year starter. PJ Adebawara still has another year after this. The fact that he's going to be a senior next year just blows my ever-loving mind, by the way. It does not feel like he should be a senior next year. It went by fast with him.
It did.
But you still have Danny Okoye and all, like in Trent Wilson, the defensive line targets. They love the defensive class they brought in 2026. Like, they're building they're building it like Clemson did from 2015 to 2021. And they're doing it right. So I'm going to ask you, knowing what we know, call your shot. Does OU play for a national title in the next 5 years?
Yes.
I agree. We may be right this year, Parker, if things keep going right. So we'll see. I know that's a little bit hyperbole. I don't think they're going to play for it, but I'm just saying they may. I mean, you got the quarterback and the defense. Now you have to be lucky on the injury front. And that's where the biggest issue reigns. All right. Real quickly this week, do you want, just call it, who you got as far as Georgia, Alabama?
I'm going with the upset. I'm going Alabama.
I have Alabama as well. I'm calling this one Washington over Ohio State.
Wow. No, sorry, disagree. Ohio State gets that one done.
They're playing in Seattle. Washington's going to end up being a 9-3, 10-2 team at the end of the year. I like Washington. That's a sneaky play. I picked Memphis over Arkansas last week. I know that's not as big of an upset, but calling it. I've actually called a couple of upsets. Y'all talked me out of two of them already this year. Bullies. Travis was a bully. Oregon, Penn State.
I like Oregon. I think
At
Oregon
Penn
gets out.
State?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take Oregon. You're right. I'll take Oregon. Tennessee at Mississippi State. Can the Cowbells knock off Tennessee?
No, man. And they've outperformed expectations so far, but I think Tennessee
Yeah,
wins this game handily.
agreed. LSU Ole Miss.
Ooh.
At Ole Miss. I'm taking Ole Miss.
Yeah, man, I've been kind of unimpressed with LSU to this point in the season. Trinidad Chambliss seems to have a little bit of juice down there for the Rebels.
Yep.
I'll say Ole Miss gets it done at home.
Agreed. Plus, I want it to be a freaking awesome atmosphere whenever they come to Norman. That's a homer pick. Auburn at Texas A&M. I'm taking Auburn. I think
Wow.
I'm taking Auburn. I'm going to take Auburn. I have no faith in this, but I'm taking them just to take it.
Just irrationally taking them.
I'm irrationally taking Auburn
Okay.
because here's why. Because I think if Auburn goes down there and shows out, I think that helps Oklahoma. Obviously, naturally, it does. It helps Oklahoma a lot. Uh, and I'm for the fans. I want you all to have a team that you're proud of. You are proud of OU, but I want them to be top five rolling into the Red River rivalry, regardless of material or not. And if they can go down and upset, Auburn can go down and upset Texas A&M, that would push things forward. Because the optics of Oklahoma beating a Auburn team that went to a top 10 team's home and won. I have no faith in this pick either, by the way.
I'm taking Texas A&M.
Do you think they win handily?
Yes, I think that's a multiple possession victory for the
Okay.
Aggies.
You're probably right, actually. Arkansas, Notre Dame. Does Arkansas redeem themselves versus the Irish?
No, no, Notre Dame wins easily.
Does USC go into Champaign, Illinois and win?
I mean, hard not to take USC after how bad Illinois looked last week.
True. TCU at Arizona State. God, this week's awesome. I'm taking Arizona State. It's at
Ooh, I
Arizona
want
State.
TCU.
Okay.
I like TCU.
I know. I love. Hey, Hoover's a stud. He's a stud. But taking my guys, going with the ASU Sun Devils. Florida State at Virginia. Obviously, I think Florida State wins. That's easy. So you don't have any upsets this week, huh?
Is Alabama over Georgia not an upset?
I guess, yeah. I mean,
We're talking like
this,
seismic upsets. No.
well, yeah, it is an upset because it's in Athens. So I would call that. I guess, yeah, you have that one upset. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast. Powered by Riverwind Casino. If you're not a member of OU Insider, make sure you go to ouinsider.com. Sign up with us right now. We appreciate that we got thousands and thousands of OU fans with us. We are so blessed. We had dang near 4,500 people on our live the other day. We do it because of you all. You guys make us go. Without you, we don't have jobs. So we are so blessed to be able to do it. And we thank you guys for supporting us over at ouinsider.com. All you have to do is click over there. You get go to ouinsider.com and you click the green button. It'll send you to a page where you can sign up and get the Athletic as well, complimentary on On3 and OU Insider. That is a 2-for-1 deal. Plus, you get OU Insider for $1 a week. Or $1 for the first week, not $1 a week. That would be awesome if it was $1 a week. $1 for the first week. On top of that, if you are a college student with a .edu, if you're a teacher with a teacher's email account, if you're active duty with active duty email account, email us ouinsider@rivals.com. We will send you a promo code to get OU Insider for $1 a month for 3 months. Had a bunch of people do it yesterday. Love to have you Sooners fans that have .edus. Doesn't matter what college you go to. Doesn't matter where you teach. As long as you have a teacher's email, as long as you have a .edu, as long as you're in the military, because we love our active duty. Thank Parker's wife for being active duty. She is serving our country right now. I am a vet, so we love our military at ouinsider.com. All right, that's going to do it. For Parker Thune, my name is Brandon Drum. You guys have a blessed day.